Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be taking an updated version of my Monarchs. Now, wait a minute. What are we doing? You don't need this. We just play this. So anyways guys, this is my Monarch deck profile. You don't need an extra deck for this deck. It's really a lot of fun. This deck is really kind of not so much bricky. It can be a little bricky, but it's a lot of fun to play. It's pretty budget, but it's a really fun deck. I've been playing this deck a long time, a long time. So I'm playing the domain variant, so you don't have to play an extra deck at all. So it makes the deck a lot cheaper. If you guys are trying to teach somebody how to play Yu-Gi-Oh, this is a really easy deck to pick up and play. So, and really cheap too now with, you know, it coming out in a structure deck. But let's get into this deck profile. Don't forget to hit like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell down there, and sorry for the cheesy joke. So if you guys are a part of the notification squad though, comment down there and tell me you were part of the notification squad. I'd love to hear from you guys, and don't forget to give me suggestion deck profiles of what you guys actually would like to see next. I always love to hear what you guys want to see, and I actually do take them into consideration. So let's get straight on into this and see what I'm playing. So we're going to play 3 copies of Erebus. The Underworld Monarch. I'm kind of interested to see if this deck actually gets hit on the, or like moves anything on the August 2018 ban list. I'm taking this before the August 2018 ban list, so if there's anything that needs to be changed, just change it accordingly. I'll tell you a couple of cards that you can move in place if you need to. But we play 3 copies of Erebus. When this card is tribute summoned by tribute summoning 1 tribute summon monster, or you can do that. And if this card is tribute summoned, you can send 2 Monarch spell and trap cards with different names from your hand or deck to the grave. And if you do, shuffle 1 card from your opponent's hand randomly from their grave or their side of the field into the deck. So it's hand, grave, or their side of the field, which is pretty cool. You can start their turn off with 5 cards just like you, and they can have 4 cards at the end of your turn, which is pretty cool. And once per turn during either player's turn, if this card is in your grave, you can discard 1 Monarch spell or trap, then target 1 monster in your grave with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense and add it to your hand, which is pretty cool, so it can grab out the Monarchs that you need from grave. So then we play 1 copy of Ether. At the moment, we only can play 1. I hope that this changes, but we can only play 1. So Ether the Heavenly Monarch is once you can tribute summon this card by attributing 1 tribute summon monster, and if this card is tribute summoned, you can send the same 2 Monarch spell or traps from your hand or deck to the grave to special summon 1 2400 attack or more or 1000 defense from your deck, but it return it to the hand during the end phase, so it kind of searches and summons at the same time, which is pretty cool. And then it has the same ability that if it's in the grave, you can banish 1 Monarch spell or trap, and if you do, you can immediately after this card resolves tribute summon this card. If it's which is a pretty cool effect. But it's if it's in your hand, which is kind of neat. I really like that card. But it's during your opponent's main phase, so it kind of like prevents your opponent from doing stuff, and it gives you an extra normal summon, which is kind of neat, and gets a body on board. Then I play 1 Thestalos, the Mega Storm or Mega Monarch. This card kind of gives you knowledge of what your opponent's hand is. When it's tribute summoned, you can look at your opponent's hand, or let's see, if this monster, you can randomly discard 1 card. When this card is tribute summoned, look at your opponent's hand and discard 1 card from the hand. And if it was a monster card, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original level times 200. But we don't play any fire monsters, so the other effect is kind of moot. But it inflicts an additional 1000 if you had a fire monster in the deck. Then I play 1 copy of Caius. I really think Caius is my favorite in the Mega Monarchs. This card's really good. You can tribute summon it by tributing 1 tribute summon monster. All of them share that effect. And then if you do, it has the same effect as the original Caius. You can target 1 card on the field and banish it, and then inflict 1000 points of damage to your opponent. Then if it was a dark monster, banish all cards with that name from your opponent's hand, deck, and extra deck to the grave, or of the player who controlled it. And if this card was tribute summoned by tribute summoning a dark monster, you can target 2 cards instead of 1, which is really good in this deck. Then we play 2 copies of Karaz. Karaz is interesting because you tribute summon it out, and then you can target 2 cards on the field and destroy them. Then whoever controlled those cards, they get to draw a card for each card destroyed, but it can't attack the turn you do that, which kind of sucks, but it works. Then we play 1 copy of Vanity's Fiend, just to kind of prevent our opponent from special summoning. This deck kind of is a control deck anyways, so we play that. Then we play 2 copies of Majesty's Fiend. Majesty's Fiend just lets us, its effect just states, it cannot be special summoned and monster effects cannot be activated. So basically, it just prevents all monster effects from being activated. Like that, I mean, that's it. That's all it does. And that's really important because it stops hand traps, it stops anything from activating at all. It just stalemates all monster effects, which is pretty cool. Then we play 1 of the Thunder Vassal. Basically, you can special summon this card from your hand, but you give your opponent a token for doing it. Pretty cool card, really good to have in the deck. Then we play 3 copies of the Underworld Squire. This card gives you an additional normal summon, and if it's in the grave, you can, let's see, if this card is normal summon or set during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense in your grave except another copy of itself, and then special summon it in defense position, which is pretty cool, which usually you're going to summon your Heavenly Squire off of that effect. The Heavenly Squire's effect is that if this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon 1 800 attack and 1000 defense monster from your deck, which is pretty cool. Usually that's going to be your Underworld Squire. They kind of work in conjunction with one another. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 of your banished Monarch spell and traps and add it to your hand, which is usually going to be your Pantheism anyways. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. The spells is really where this deck shines. The monsters are really important, but the spells are really where this deck starts getting kind of crazy. Because 2 of them are limited to 1. So I think it's 2 of them. So then we play 1 Rhoda to add our Heavenly Squire to our hand. That's the big play that we use with Rhoda. 1 copy of Pantheism. This card actually has 2 effects. You send a Monarch spell and trap card from your deck, or from your hand to the grave, and then you get to draw 2 cards. If it's in your graveyard, you can banish this card from your grave, reveal 3 Monarch spell and traps in your deck, and your opponent chooses 1 of them to add to your hand, and the rest are shuffled back into the deck. 1 Monarch Stormforth. This lets you tribute your opponent's monsters for tribute summons, so this card's really important to play. 1 March of the Monarchs. March of the Monarchs is tribute summon monsters cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is pretty cool. And then 3 copies of Tenacity of the Monarchs. This card's really good. This card lets you reveal 1 monster in your hand that has 2400 attack or 1000 defense, or 2800 attack and 1000 defense, and then you add a Monarch spell and trap from your deck to your hand. Any Monarch spell and trap. Usually if you have an activated Pantheism, you're going to use Pantheism or the particular card that you need for the situation at hand. Then I play 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. This basically gets your Pantheism out of deck faster and lets you go into a lot more plays. It also gets your Prime Monarch out of your deck so you can summon it for tribute summons. So 3 Foolish Burial Goods is really essential for this deck. I really like it in this deck, and it thins the deck so you don't brick so much. I play 2 copies of Allure of Darkness. I don't have as many targets as I would want in this deck. I have, I believe it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 targets in this deck to actually go off with Allure. And I kept finding that when I would have 3, it wouldn't work correctly for my particular draw. If you guys want to play 3, drop Rhoda, play the 3rd one if you want to. I don't like 3, but 3 may work for you. I didn't find that I wanted to banish that much. So then I play 3 copies of Domain of the True Monarch. This card is the really, really, really important card of the deck. When you have no cards in your extra deck and you are the only player that controls a tribute summon monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from their extra deck, period. Which is crazy cool, because it makes it so they can't link summon, fusion, XYZ, pendulum from extra deck, none of it. Synchro, none of it. And then, when a tribute summon monster you control attacks, you can make it gain 800 attack, and then you can reveal a monster with 2800 attack and 1000 defense in your hand, and reduce its level by 2, so you can tribute summon it with 1 tribute instead of 2, which is cool. Then for the final spell, we play 2 copies of Return of the Monarchs, which is kind of like our search card of the deck, that you can special summon monsters from the extra deck, which all of the cards state that in this deck. Then you can add, when a monster is tribute summoned, you can add 1 card from your deck to your hand that has 2400 attack and 1000 defense, with a different name as the tribute summon monster. Or you can add one monster from your deck to your hand that has 2,800 attack and 1,000 defense with a different name from the monster you tributed. So that's really cool. We played this, and that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. Like I said, guys, this deck is really cheap. It's really fun to play. It kind of like negates your opponent. If you like a control deck, this is the deck for you. So then we play one copy of Escalation of the Monarchs. Escalation is once per turn during your opponent's main phase or your opponent's battle phase. You can immediately after the card resolves, tribute summon a monster. So if your opponent like targets a monster on their main phase or their battle phase, or they target a monster for attack, you can really quickly activate Escalation and then tribute the monster that they were doing something to, and then summon a different one to kind of make the card miss timing, or to make it so they have to battle a bigger Monarch, which I really like that about this deck. Then we play two copies of Eruption of the Monarch. The Monarchs Erupt is really good. Basically, it's kind of like Skill Drain. Like, the big combo that you want to get is Domain, this, and Majesty's Fiend. Majesty's Fiend, yeah. So if you can get those three on board, you can pretty much win just about any game. If you can get these three on board. If you can get those on board, you've won. Because you're negating all monster effects, you're making it so they can't special summon, and you're negating the activated effects of all monsters on the field. So that's the big combo that I like to go into with this deck. But the Monarchs Erupt is that if you have no cards in your extra deck, and the only monster you control is Tribute Summoned, and you control Tribute Summon monster, negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field except Tribute Summon monsters. And during the end phase, if you do not control Tribute Summon monster, send this card to the grave. And then for the final trap that I play in this deck, it is the Prime Monarch. Now, this card has two effects. You can, once per turn, if it's on the field, you can target two Monarch spell or traps in your grave, send them back to the deck, and then draw a card. Or if it's in the grave, you can banish a Monarch spell or trap from your grave, and then special summon this card in defense position, and it has 1,000 attack and 2,400 defense, but is not treated as a trap card. So that's important that it's not a trap monster when it's on the field. It's kind of like a token. So anyways, guys, that's it for my Monarch deck. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I kind of enjoyed taking that one. You know, it's been a long time since I touched this. I used to play with this kid named Ethan over at Top Games, which is a local card shop, and he played the crap out of this deck when it first came out, and I really kind of hated playing against it. But now that it's gotten hit a little bit, it's kind of more fun to play with and against. Well, not maybe with, but against. But I do see them actually moving a couple of cards on the ban list with this. I would not be surprised if they gave us back maybe 2 Pantheisms or something like that. But if you guys want to do that, play around with the deck. I like this deck. It's really fun. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell down there so you can become a part of the notification squad. And I will see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.